Hello, this is Brian Donato, and in this video I'm going to discuss the chart, Life's Actualization of Divine Visions. So my inspiration for this chart is from a David Goggins video I saw where he discusses this. I'll put a link to my blog post where I reference this video, probably put the video in the description also. So this chart is right here. So you got 10 life categories that the Almighty above, He expects us to be at a certain mark. And it's up to us to overcome every obstacles in our way, to reach that highest level we can possibly get, to ace each category, to ace the chart overall. So the categories are authenticity, commitment, moral character, internal peace, mental resilience, wisdom utilization, joy experience, happiness attainment, love capacity, personal achievements, and worldly contributions. So in this video, I'm going to offer my perspective on each category. And an important thing I want to mention too is these tools transcend everything, no matter your age, no matter where you're watching this, who you are. These tools work for everyone. They're just psychology tools, mindset tools to ace the chart. From my perspective, of course, just my perspective. Everyone has their own perspective. And I want to mention something too, that we're all connected. So no matter where we are, who we are, we're all in this world together. We're all in this journey called life. And I'm going to make a little example for you. So I'm wearing this shirt, right here. So think about, I had to go to Atlantic City to buy this shirt. So the person at the store had to be there to contribute to me having this shirt. It was delivered to that store. Who put the shirt together with the material? Of course, Muhammad Ali is on the shirt, so he had to exist for this shirt to be made. The cameraman who did the photo for the shirt had to take the photo at that exact time. Even Ali, in this photo, he's fighting in a ring. So who built the ring, right? There's so many things every day. Everything you do is tied to what someone else did. So we're all servicing each other, either directly or indirectly. And that's a good thing to keep in mind as I go through these categories. So the first category, authenticity, commitment. There's so many barriers to this for people, but you have to stay committed to yourself. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, to be yourself in a world that's constantly trying to change you is the greatest accomplishment. He said that back in the day. I mean, now with social media and all this stuff going on and temptations to be fake or not say something that has to be said, not say what's in your heart, choose a career path that's not meant for you, make a decision that is not in alignment with your values, spend your free time doing something that you don't truly want to do, hang out with people who you don't truly want to be around. All those obstacles stand in the way of you being authentic to yourself. And you have to try to just stay committed by any means necessary. Like the Almighty might expect you to, be deficient in this category in some way at a certain point in your life, and you have to overcome that to ace the category. And in my opinion, it's better to be real and have 100 enemies and one friend than to be fake and have 100 friends and one enemy, because it's not long lasting. You're living in a delusion if that's the case. And I referenced this in one of my blog posts called Hold Your Pen. It was the first blog post that I wrote in my blog. So that means when you put your mark on something, when you put your signature on something, make sure that's really you. Right? So, got my little purple pen here. I'm going to sign this. So this is my authentic signature. To be honest, I kind of messed up on it, but I'm trying to film this all in one take, so I'm not doing it over. So that's really the message is when you sign something, in the real world, that's your signature, right? So when you sign your life at the end of your days, when you die, that's got to be your signature too, and not someone else's. Don't be a forger. Or don't let someone forge your signature too. Don't forge someone else's signature. Don't let someone forge your own. Next category, moral character. So once you're authentic, like, who are you, right? Like, you can be authentic as possible, but if you're not exhibiting kindness and great moral character, then what's the point, right? If you do something wrong, apologize. Internally, you need to recognize when your character is going downhill. And this is like, right is right, man, even if one person's doing it and 100 people are doing the wrong thing, you know? So it doesn't matter where you're from, what your environment is. That's no excuse. You got to take personal responsibility for what you do. You have to do the right thing. Whatever that right thing is for you, you can define that, but make sure you're self-reflecting to the point where that's actually the right thing. And this comes down a lot to toughness too. You know, just being who you are and doing the right thing. A lot of that is mental toughness. You can't be selfish and not say what needs to, and you can't be selfish and not say what needs to be said because it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. So especially in these times that we live in, I'm sure you've noticed, but there's a lot of just tension right now, and we're just in the United States. Most likely, if you're watching this, I don't have that many followers, probably outside of the U.S. But you know, recently the Easter shooting, the mosque shooting, and I'm just gonna reference that once my laptop stops acting funny. You know, a couple articles on that. It's just like, it's crazy the world we live in with all these shootings and all this violence and people just disagreeing and not being open-minded to others' perspective. Like, that's just messed up. Like, look, New Zealand mosque terror attacks. We all heard about that. The Sri Lanka explosions at Easter, all of this stuff. So doing the right thing, that is called being battle tested. That's a part of it. Like, it's so easy to just be mad at someone, be angry at someone, do the wrong thing. You have to stay resilient. And this ties into also John Wooden quote: be more concerned about your character than your reputation, because your character is who you really are. Your reputation is who others think you are. This is all about just being internally driven and have your character in alignment with your values and all of that. And as I mentioned in the 32 Laws of Power post, law number 30 is positive power is greater than negative power in the long run, and you must believe that. So the third category, internal peace. So many times there's going to be a lot of curveballs that are going to be thrown at you. And despite all of that, you've got to overcome that to still go down the path that you're meant, to not let the tension build up on the inside. So many times when you're true to yourself and have positive moral character, internal peace does follow. Your deeds have to match your thoughts, and there's less conflict when that's the case. And a lot of these categories strengthen each other, which is important to note. You have to get to the point where nothing will destroy your mind. Arnold Bennett once said, your mind is a sacred enclosure into which nothing harmful can enter except by your permission. So your mind, you can control that. Sometimes in your heart, you got to accept those feelings, right? But you don't want to accept the thoughts in your mind. Those are two different things. And I've referenced this in my post, you are invincible too. Whatever is happening on the outside that has nothing to do with your inside once you adopt that sort of tool of mindset control. And like I said, the Almighty, He throws a bunch of curveballs at you. We all have kitchens, right? We all have all these spices. So I'm going to go to my spice right now. And the analogy is the spirits above, they're going to spice up your life with all sorts of stuff. You got the red pepper, the salt, you got all that stuff. And sometimes you might not like the spice, but guess what? You have to deal with it because you can't change it. It's the same thing. So all these spices are going to be thrown at you. Sometimes you might not like the taste. Sometimes you will. Oh, well. Still got to work hard to maintain that internal peace so it doesn't get to you negatively on the inside. You know, if you do that, you ace that category. So basically, control what you can control and forget the rest. Easier said than done, but that's basically the point. So next category, mental resilience. So as stated, stuff happens that you can't control. You gotta overcome that. You gotta focus on what you can control in the present moment. Adversity is inevitable. It's gonna happen. But guess what? You gotta expect that. And I'll talk about this in my post, Bring On the Lions. As Bill Russell once quoted in the 60s, he said, "Bring on the lions, no pussycats, please." No pussycats, please. That means when life tests you, don't be like, "Oh, I wish it was easier." Because that's not how it works. You have to be battle tested in the dark. You got to punch yourself in the dark because you're going to be punched in the light. So you're not surprised when it happens because you've already put in the grind before it even occurs. And don't allow any excuses, disempowering attitudes to hold you back. So look for things to rise you up. When adversity comes, say on to the next one. And building this mental resilience is key because that's what life is about. In life, you're either building up towards something or you're falling down. And that's all life is. Falling down, building yourself up, falling down, building yourself up. A lot of that stuff happens simultaneously too. And this mental resilience, it's really about being ultra competitive too. The Almighty knows a lot, but you gotta take pride in the fact that you know yourself too. So you know what's in your heart, and you gotta take ownership of that. So for me, I'm super competitive. So when I come across something that supposedly will break me, that only adds fuel to me. So I'm best under pressure, pretty much. That's why I try to ignite the pressure when it's not there. So for instance, I wrote about the Dallas Mavericks a lot, 7th grade to 12th grade. I didn't have to do that, but that built a lot of the self-discipline that I was able to use to my advantage later on in life and even during that time. So that built the mental resilience where I just worked in the dark just because that's my character, that's who I was. That built the mental resilience down the road. And I'm going to mention a quote from David Goggins, former Navy SEAL, pretty hard person. So during a 100-mile race that he did, he said to himself, who on this earth would still be going right now? And he told himself, you are. You have to be the hardest person in the world. And he talks about that positive self-talk was so important to getting himself through that. And this is like the same thing. Like you have to use the tools available to you, including positive self-talk, to overcome things. And it's not just for your own benefit. Like, for me, I'm thinking like, who on this earth at different times in my life would still be this open-minded, would still be this calm, would still be this forgiving, would still be this kind to people. So you can be mental resilient for a personal achievement, but it's also about being mentally resilient for any character trait, for kindness even. So it's multi-layered. Mental resilience pretty much helps every category here, especially being authentic to yourself. So there's always a temptation to get upset and to just break, but that doesn't do anybody any good. You got to overcome that. So wisdom, utilization. So life is about learning from experiences, not just from your own, but from other people's too. And from adversity or any situation you're going through, just having the wisdom based off past experiences can really help you go through whatever you're going through. And this is why self-reflection is so important. Looking inside of yourself, figuring out what you've learned in the past, what lessons, what you're going through now, what are your current thoughts, how do you want to think in the future, all of that. And I'm going to show a quote I got on my wall from Rumi. It said, "We are the mirror as well as the face in it." As I'm stretching my mouth, right? So self-reflecting, that is basically wisdom. Wisdom starts with knowing yourself, and that a big part of that is self-reflection. Don't be dumb and ignorant, acting like you know everything. Take the information out there to get better and self-develop. It's about a growth mindset. So don't be like, oh, I don't want to make a mistake. No, you got to be like, let me make mistakes. Let me grow. Let me challenge myself and then pick myself up. You got to lose any negative personal ego that you have. So sound decisions, trust yourself, There's a fine line between being open-minded to new information and being yourself, and you have to find that right balance. Be open-minded to new ideas while still staying true to yourself, and wisdom is a big part of that. So it's about organizing your life efficiently. One quote is, "Science is organized knowledge, wisdom is organized life." That's from a guy online. Look it up. Bonus tip: drink water. Next category, I'll be here all day. Joy experience. So part of wisdom ties in with this category. Understanding the gift of life. You can always find more joy. You can always make experiences joyful. Find humor in things. Side note, it's hard to trust someone who can't laugh at themselves. Keep that in mind, because that's usually a pretty fake person. Anyone can feel pain, right? Anyone. So the trick is, when you're experiencing suffering or stuff, how much joy are you feeling? Ties in with positive psychology. And I talked about this a bit in a post I did about 2 years ago called Ascend the Appreciation Spectrum, where I talk about Stuart Scott and how he appreciated his child's cry he appreciated a child's cry on a plane, even when everyone else was like, agitated or frustrated from it. So to rise up the appreciation spectrum is you appreciate all moments in life. Even when there's adversity or seemingly annoying moments, you can still find joy in that. So that's a big trick that you gotta figure out how to, utilize as you go through life. And it's similar to like when you clean the bathroom, right? If there's like mold or mildew on the tiles, you want to get that off. So if some adversity is happening in your life or some obstacle, and the temptation is to be negative about it or to develop a destructive mentality, you have to really clean that off. You just like anything that comes at you that's like negative energies, even when you're going through something hard, just clean that off. I mean, carry something like cleaning bleach. Metaphorically, do that to all the negative energies attacking you. Be like, I can still find joy even going through this. This is pretty good. Mold and mildew remover. Do that for the mold in your mind. And it's really about, like, everyone's been through adversity in the past, right? You can't control the past. You can't control, other people to a certain extent. All that stuff. So you gotta live in the present. Launch yourself on every wave. Find eternity in each moment. I wish I came up with that quote, but that's Henry David Thoreau. So don't rush life too. Enjoy it every step of the way. Like, I never want to say like I can't wait until next month or next year, because when you look back at age 80, you'll wonder why you were encouraging time to fly by. Like, I'm 26 right now. In no time I'll be 30, and then 42, and then 80, and then I'll be gone, right? But so living with that perspective is empowering to me, because I know I gotta just be myself. There's no reason not to, right? There's no reason not to experience all the joy that's out there, even through all the downfalls. And some people even say, like, be thankful for your health or something. That's even short-sighted, because, like, what if you don't have your health? Like, I don't even have immaculate health right now, but that's not stopping me. And I'm sure my health is going to deteriorate down the road, because guess what? It does for everybody. Health problems always get worse. Like, I don't know if there's a 90-year-old out there who is healthier than he or she was when they were 25. It's all going downhill in terms of the adversity. That doesn't mean that your mind has to go downhill too. Keep that in mind to ace your chart. So happiness attainment. So a lot of people, they don't know really what happiness means. It's not about short-term pleasures or all of that, because that's often disguised as happiness, but that's not really happiness. What's happiness is long-lasting meaning and fulfillment, finding real purpose in your life. And I'm going to mention a blog post Forever Peace that I wrote, and I talked about this Oprah Winfrey interview that I saw where this guy was talking about following the mothership. And like everyone's got to follow their mothership, and you're a small boat in this metaphor. And even through rough waters, even when you want to go in a different direction, you still have to follow it. You still have to follow it. And it's the same thing with happiness. That thing that's calling you, that you feel like is giving you purpose and fulfillment, that path that you know deep down you have to take that. You have to take that. You can't be short-sighted. I mean, there's been times in my life where I could have went one way or the other way, and I chose a path that was truer to me. It might have been the hardest path, but long term, that's a path that I needed to take. And happiness attainment, another part of it, seeking things that matter and get rid of stuff that doesn't. Cut out the BS. Gandhi once said, happiness is when what you say, what you do, and what you think are in harmony. You know? And a lot of people get this happiness thing messed up because they look for something on the outside to, bring them happiness, to validate them. You got to look on it from the inside. It's got to be inside. Your intrinsic motivations, what's meaningful to you, your thought process, your actions, everything. Like, you have to search inside of yourself. I'm going to show you a little photo I got. Happiness is homemade right there. Homemade right here, right inside of you. So keep that in mind. And the Almighty above, he or she, they say he, so I'm just saying he. They may think that, you'll be 60 out of 100 in this category because you might chase things short term that bring you pleasures, but that thing that really would bring you happiness long term, that thing that would really bring you meaning, you didn't follow. You got to avoid that. You got to ace that chart. Be conscious of really what you want, who you are, self-reflect, do things that bring forth the life in you. And if you do all that, you'll look back and say, man, I outworked the chart. I did that. Next category, we got love capacity. So love, this is about self-love. This is about love for specific people. This is about love for everybody. So self-love, first I'll talk about, is you need to value yourself. You need to love life. I'll talk about this in, for instance, one of my posts, Permanent Empowerment. I'll talk about there's 108 billion people that have ever existed in this world. 7 billion of them are alive today. Take pride in that. I mean, we're lucky to be alive. I mean, if you're watching this, you're alive. And, I'm feeling my heartbeat now. It's still there. So ties in with joy. Find joy in something like that. Self-love. Just want to keep on going higher. And a big part of this is loving everybody. Don't have the mindset that, people aren't worthy of respect or appreciation or all of that. Maybe some people are negative, right? And you don't really want to be around them for your own benefit. That's fine. But when you meet someone, don't just assume negative intentions. Have no hate in your heart. And in my opinion, you can tell a lot about someone by how they treat someone that can do nothing for them. So that's about bringing love to everybody. Make people's day. That's free. No one charges you for that. And even, so to neutral people, right, show love. Even to your enemies, show love. Now, of course, sometimes you have to be direct, put your foot down when something's wrong, be assertive, all of that stuff, have consequences. But internally, that hate is useless. Martin Luther King said, darkness does not drive out darkness, only light can do that. And he said the same thing with love and hate. So, love capacity, like you can always have more in your heart. This is what some people don't get. There's no limit to it. It's like, for instance, it's like a plastic bag, right? So here's a bag, right? I keep all my plastic bags in here. And it seems like you can't really fit that much in here. So you open it up. Look, you got all these bags in here. Way more than you thought can fit into this plastic bag. And it's the same with love. Your capacity is much higher than you think. Much higher than you think. And it seems improbable when it's all laid out. Like how, in my journey of life, 80 years, say, that you live to, when I showed love to this many people, I brought kindness to this many people's day, you'll be like, wow, like that really happened. My capacity was pretty high, and I was able to live up to it and ace that part of the chart. So next, I was going to talk about personal achievements. So what is it that you want? Like, you got to figure that out. And you can't count the cost for something. You just got to grind away to make that happen. Self-discipline, that's everything. Like, you have to build that at an early age to be like, I'm not doing this because someone else wants me to do it. I'm doing it because I truly want to do this in my heart. And I'm going to push myself even when people aren't watching, in the dark. And I don't care if people even know I'm doing it, if people even believe that I'm doing it. So like last week, I did 1,000 push-ups in 66 minutes when I was in Atlanta. And the only reason I'm saying that, because that's just one example, right, of me doing something and no one sees that. Like, I could have easily slept in that morning or whatever. But oh well, because I'm self-disciplined, because I know pushing myself like that when no one's watching in the dark, that builds up the mindset necessary to, achieve great things, the mental resilience, all of that. And it's really about being internally driven, intrinsic motivations to accomplish things for yourself and not anything on the outside. I talk about this in several of my blog posts, including one, Real Pride, Go Get It. And this long-term perspective is just so important, and that's also a big part of it. Because short-term, say you're studying for a test, you'll be like, I don't really want to study this much, right? You can say, like, I can easily just study, 2 hours and watch TV for another couple hours. But then there's something inside of my head, at least speaking for myself, where I'm like, that's the easy path. Like, I can self-discipline myself harder than that. I'm more mentally tough than that. Like, I can study 4 or 5 hours straight and get as great a grade as I possibly can. And the metaphor is that sort of mindset is for the whole chart itself that I'm talking about, these 10 categories. Like, don't be settling for 80 out of 100. Go higher. Ace every category. Why not, right? Why not? Long-term perspective. Epictetus, I might be saying his name wrong, but he's a philosopher guy from the past. He said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. It sounds so simple, but that's it. It's like, ask yourself, if I do this, afterwards, where would I be? And if you like that, and then do that. That's simple. That's simple to do. That sort of mindset is really built long term, though. So every day, your experiences got to match that self-discipline. You got to really strive towards that. I'm going to show this painting in the back that I did about a year ago. It's kind of tricky with this phone. I'm trying to get, there it is. So that's the pain of discipline, right? The bee is pouring water into the pain of discipline and not the pain of regret. So take that, right? You have to pour it into one of the cups. You might as well do it in the pain of discipline, because you're going to have regrets later. When you die, the Almighty looks at your chart and you're like, I didn't really reach what the expected grade was because of laziness, because of procrastination, because of ignorance or not self-reflecting enough. So you have to avoid that. And a big part of that is the personal achievements part, doing stuff when no one's watching based off your intrinsic values. So when you're not showing self-discipline, you gotta have that itch and you gotta scratch it off. And that's tied in with a lot of my blog posts. Like I said, Real Pride, Go Get It, On Your Cocoon Time, Part 1, all of that. Last category. So you've done all this stuff, right? You've done all this stuff, but really, what have you done for others, right? Because you can ace every other category, but if it's just for your benefit, then that won't last. And I talk about this in my blog post, Indelible Ink Final Level, where this is the final part. Like, what impact are you having on the world? What impact are you having? Muhammad Ali once said, service to others is the rent that you pay for room on this earth. So it's like the same thing when you're paying rent, right? When you're paying rent, you pay it with cash, right? So the same thing with life in general. So your rent on this earth is just your kindness to the world, is the impact you're making, the positivity that you're bringing to the world. And you have to have that mindset. Like, all of our days are numbered. You can't have the mindset that life owes you. You have to have the mindset that you owe life for being here. And you have that perspective, and a lot of stuff will become clear. Internal peace is tied to this too. When you just look at life as a gift, that makes everything else peaceful. Can't have tunnel vision with impact. You gotta really be conscious of everything around you when you're making decisions that affect other people. Don't have the drive destruction when you're going after your goals. And this is like, you're gonna contaminate the earth in some way, either a positive way or a negative way, right? So a metaphor is, I'm gonna go to my kitchen right now. Ooh, probably should have stretched more this morning. So I got this water, right? I'm gonna pour this water in the cup. Okay, put it down. And guess what? A little bit of soap, right? You put a little bit of soap in the water, and the whole water is messed up. The whole glass is messed up. You can't drink it now. Just a little bit of negativity, and the whole thing is contaminated in a negative way. So guess what? The same thing is reversed. You can contaminate things in a positive way, just with a little bit of effort. Like, you go into work, you show gratitude to someone, thank them for something that they did. That might make that person's day, just by one little comment that might take 15 seconds. Think about that. So contaminate the earth in a positive way. And this ties in with the beginning now. I'm going back to the beginning. Everything's coming full circle, is that we're all related on this journey. So we're all servicing each other in some way, and indirectly or directly. But you got to have that perspective while going through each of these categories, while trying to ace each of the categories. And the overarching, I should say, message is to maximize your meaning in your life. You have to have the mindset that whoever is watching over this right now, you have to go heavy on acing the chart that's outlined for you. So whatever the expected grade is, you got to be like, I'm going to surpass that. I'm going to go heavy on it. I'm going to go heavy on every category. No category is going to be left out. And a lot of it is like, even if the Almighty above is not expecting perfection in each category, so be it. Don't even worry about that. Say, I'm going to even surpass that. I'm even going to surpass that. Because I dictate what I do. Mark Twain once said, the two most important days in your life are the days you are born and the day you find out why. Deep. All of our days here on this earth are numbered. None of us know when the days will run out, right? So when yours is up and the race is finally finished and they put that dash in between your tombstone, make that dash everything that you intended to be. Dominate by any means necessary. Dominate. Ace the chart. Ace the chart by any means necessary. Ace it.